seriously, what does it all mean? And then suddenly the book ends into something very personal, something that you and I have experienced firsthand. It really helps you as the reader relate to all of these scientific technical terms. Hi everyone, this is Paul Loves to Read, and as you know, in this channel, it's all about sharing the love and joy for literature. And today, I'm going to share with you an incredible book. It's called The Code Breaker by Walter Isaacson. Let me read the full title. The Code Breaker, Jennifer Doudna, Gene Editing and the Future of the Human Race. Written by Walter Isaacson, as mentioned, published in, I think, 2021. Ito na naman ako eh. Yeah, 2021. Yeah. Very new. Very fresh. So happy I read this book. Walter Isaacson is one of the authors that I love to read. He was the same guy who wrote the Steve Jobs biography, Da Vinci biography, and then he also has Albert Einstein, if I'm not mistaken. This is my first nonfiction read for the year, and I'm happy I opened my nonfiction for the year with The Code Breaker. I have been seeing this book for quite some time, since 2021, and I didn't get to it right away because admittedly I got intimidated by the subject matter. I mean, it's about gene editing, it's about heavy science, and I love science, but even then I was intimidated. But then, it just won't get out of my head. So I finally decided to read it, and I'm so happy I did. I am not going to claim that I understood every single thing, every single scientific thing in this book. I absolutely did not. I'm not ashamed to say that. But the few or the some that I have understood, it's really interesting, really, science fiction made real kind of stuff. And I super enjoyed it. And this is the kind of things that tickles me. It makes me look forward to the future. Future tech is something that really fascinates me a lot. Never mind the ethical concerns, because there will always be ethical issues, ethical concerns with any future tech, with any type of tech. There will always be the good and the bad in conversation and so on. But that's the kind of stuff that is, for me, is like, the pinnacle of science and technology, and I loved it. The premise is, as you could see at the cover, that this is Jennifer Doudna. Walter Isaacson centered the story or grounded the story onto her story, Jennifer Doudna's story. She is the lead, or one of the lead scientists who discovered CRISPR, CRISPR. And when you read the book, you'll know the exact meaning of it. One thing, just very quickly, one thing I found out through this book about scientists is that they love acronyms. They have a lot of acronyms, some silly, some not, and CRISPR is just one of them. I don't remember what it means, yung CRISPR, but that's the discovery. And if I can just read to you what livescience.com posted about CRISPR. CRISPR is a powerful tool for editing genomes, meaning it allows researchers to easily alter DNA sequences and modify gene function. It has many potential applications, including correcting genetic defects, treating and preventing the spread of diseases, and improving the growth and resilience of crops. So, very powerful by that definition alone. So yeah, the premise is about Jennifer Doudna, how she discovered CRISPR, and the many scientists behind the succeeding discoveries of CRISPR. I needed time to kind of convince myself, am I going to read this? Am I going to read this? It can get technical. There are very technical portions in the book. But that cannot be helped, right? Because Walter Isaacson, the author, of course, needed to share with us, the exact science of it. But that being said, he tried to describe it in the friendlier tone, in a way that it would be understood by a layperson like me. There are many scientists involved in the book. So Walter Isaacson was careful to portion the books in such a way that you're not going to get lost. And ano talaga siya, it's not enough that it is portioned by chapter, not even that way. he was very deliberate. The layout, the format of the storytelling was very deliberate in a sense that, okay, now we're talking about this scientist, and then it's going to be portioned out. Now we're talking about this scientist, and then at the third part, he will tell you how the two are connected. Parang ganon. So it's very, ano naman, very easy to follow. Yeah. Out of the 3 books that I have read of Walter Isaacson, all of them I can easily recommend. It's, first one was Steve Jobs, another brilliantly written book. You should read it. And also the story is pretty much out there. And it's Steve Jobs. Come on, you have to read it. And then the other one is Da Vinci. Not Da Vinci Code, as in Leonardo da Vinci's life. Again, very interesting read, very well written. And then this one, Codebreaker. So they mentioned designer babies in the book. I thought that was an interesting piece because that's such a that's such a controversial, not conventional, controversial topic. We've seen it in movies so many times, wherein in the future we're going to have the ability to pick the genes that we want for our future babies, right? You want blue eyes, blonde hair, no disease, an IQ of, ano bang mataas na IQ? 150 IQ, mga ganyan. Technically, they can do that. Now, the technology is here, and that's mind-boggling for me. Like, really, the technology is here. Like, really, we can do that. Apparently, we can. And it is mentioned here in the book the idea of designer babies, and the reality of it being able to happen, right? The technology is here, but it doesn't mean that it's being applied now, because of course there is a lot of ethical considerations, right? Whether it's should we not? If we should, why should we? And so on and so forth. So there's a lot of that. For me, that was an interesting part of the book because that is science fiction made real. That's like literally science fiction made real for me. These are the stuff that we see in the movies back then, and now it's actually here. And who would have thought, diba, that could happen? But yeah. The thought experiments was one of the most interesting, for me, the most enjoyable part of the book because it's towards the end na. After having shared all the technology and what the technology can do, what these discoveries can do, then the author went on to tackle the different ethical questions that would arise out of it. So that's the chapter on thought experiments. So this is the chapter where he poses a situation and then tries to ask a question. What if we do this? Or what if we do this? What would be the impact, the implications, the repercussions? Why do you think it's good? Why do you think it's bad? The point of that section of the book, I felt that the point of it was that there is no black and white answer, right? It's nice and it's easy to think that it would be easy to decide. Designer babies. No, diba? You shouldn't. That's your immediate reaction. Like, we shouldn't do that. Really, why not? It's kind of like that. Like there's that pushing the idea of the why and why not, and letting you, the reader, realize that you don't know everything. That your decision, whether it is good or bad, is really colored by your personal life experiences alone. So you shouldn't discount other people's life experiences as well. And for me, that's the most fascinating part of the book. And that's also the reason why I am so fascinated by future technology. Because the technology itself, any type of tech, any type of discovery in this world is agnostic. It's neither good nor bad. I really truly believe that. It's neither good nor bad. It's really how you apply it. And it's really how humans apply these tech. That's when the good or bad comes into play. But yeah, so for me, I loved that section of the book. I don't know if I came out of it with a firm opinion, whether yes or no or whatever. And there are several, actually, madami. I don't know if I did, but one thing's for sure, I realized that you don't know all the answers, and you really have to consider all the past studies, as well as think of how it will impact the future. And what are you doing this for? And so on and so forth. So yeah. It is obviously packed with information, right? It's packed with different discoveries. It spans decades of discoveries, okay? And that's another thing. Discoveries don't happen overnight. And it doesn't happen with one person. Granted that the book is grounded on one scientist, Jennifer Doudna, but definitely it's much more than her, right? There's a lot more, plenty more people behind it, decades and decades of research past. And at the end of the book, it is even more satisfying to me because the author, having published this in 2021, of course, had to talk about the pandemic, COVID-19. And it was so satisfying because everything that the teams discovered, everything that they wrote about here in the book, that the author wrote about here in the book, contributed greatly into the vaccine as well as the test kit developed for COVID-19. So I thought that was a good ending to a book about gene discovery, gene editing discovery, and so on and so forth, because it really brings it home for you. It really helps you as the reader relate to all of these scientific technical terms. Like, seriously, what does it all mean? And then suddenly the book ends into something very personal, something that you and I have experienced firsthand. So it was perfect for me because suddenly the discoveries made more sense. And suddenly it became ano ba to? It became personal, di ba? Because you benefited from it. So that was, for me, that was like a key takeaway, right? And I'm glad that they included that in as well. So, in conclusion, this is a highly recommended book. If you are interested in genetics, gene editing, future technology, biology, just curious about how scientists work behind the scenes and how competitive, super competitive they can be. Actually, that's the part that, kind of surprised me a bit, that they're very competitive, but at the same time, collegial. I don't know how you can mix the two, but they did. Then this is for you. It's packed with information. It can be highly technical, but that's fine. It's an intimidating subject matter, but I felt like it was written in such a way that it's easily understandable by by lay people, by common people, by non-scientific or non-science whatever people, right? So it's a good book. See if you wanna, see if it's for you. I feel like it's one of those books where you kind of have to read at some point. I don't know if it has a downloadable first few pages in Google Books or in Kindle. If they do, give it a try. I encourage you to give it a try. It's about science, it's about the future, it's about health, and it's very, very interesting. So I hope you do try it. Thank you.